Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for this year's Mentor of the Year live stream. We are very excited to welcome our current Mentors of the Year for 2024, as well as their students. My name is Madeline Reif. I am the Senior Director of the Mentoring Program, and it again is my honor to welcome you today. I also would like to acknowledge the sponsorship support of Delta Dental of Ohio. It's a dental benefits company. It covers over 14 million lives and has been very active in community support in Northeast Ohio and beyond. The moderator this morning was slated to be Margaret Trimmer, who is Vice President of Strategic Partnerships for Delta Dental, but unfortunately she is under the weather today, so it is my privilege to attempt to fill her shoes. And now I'd like to introduce and congratulate again the two mentors and two students here with us today. Scott Tincher and Sue Borison are our Mentors of the Year. They were selected from all the nominations submitted by students. It was a tough competition this year, let me say. Scott is tax director at Covia and has been a mentor with us since 2020. He was nominated by his student, Brian Verib. Brian is studying accounting at Miami University. Welcome to you both. Sue Borison is founder of Your Team Media and is currently chair of the Community Relations Committee at the Jewish Federation of Cleveland. Sue was nominated by Shekinah Harmon, whom she's been mentoring since 2021. Shekinah is studying psychology at The Ohio State University. Welcome to you both as well. We're so pleased you could join us. I'm going to begin with a few reflection questions to kind of get us talking, but audience, please submit any questions that you have in the live stream chat, and we will check in about 10-15 minutes on some of those questions for our participants today, possibly to answer as well. So as we know, mentoring can take many forms, and the College Now Mentoring Program obviously has a pretty strong focus on college completion, post-secondary attainment. I'm sure you are all well aware of that as you started our program, but what were your expectations of this mentoring relationship? And what were your expectations of your mentor or your student as you started off? Sue, let's start with you, if you can comment on that for us.
Sure. I had friends who had done College Now, and their relationships with their mentee were so varied that I had a little bit of trepidation. I wanted to be on the side that I am on, thankfully, with Shekinah, but I didn't know how it was going to go because I had heard from other people that it wasn't always a fluid relationship. And really right from the start, we kind of bypassed, I can't remember what the expectation was, but I think it was like text or reach out in some way. And so we left that behind and just decided to Zoom. And so right from the get-go, we were doing every week and really building a friendship. It was really lovely.
And Shekinah, how did you come into the program? What expectations did you have? And did you notice that changed at all over time?
When I came in, I didn't expect it to be as empowering as I found it to be now because Sue is just such a great person. So she's helped me throughout so much, and I didn't really expect to receive the amount of help that I have received. So I'm thankful for that.
Excellent. Brian and Scott, what are your thoughts on that? Brian, did you have any expectations that you found maybe were different or anything that changed for you over time?
I would say starting the mentorship program, I was expecting like going into the accounting field. I didn't really know that much about it. So through the mentorship, I hope to learn more from somebody who works as an accountant. But over time, I learned that like there was other advice I was given, such as resume stuff, LinkedIn advice, interview advice. So there was a lot more I got out of it over time.
Excellent. And actually, in our previous discussion, we did have a preparatory discussion before this. We did touch on kind of the differences between the two pairs and how you all focused a little bit differently or used time differently, conversations differently. Scott, can you comment a little bit on how that kind of ebbed and flowed for you and Brian in the different topics that you covered and things?
Yeah, so College Now provides some prompts and some topics to recommended to discuss between the mentor and mentee, and we did talk about those, but early on, just as we built the relationship, we talked about school and we talked about sports, and we're from the same hometown in Ohio. So, we talked about a lot of other things and went off script quite a bit as we kind of built that relationship. So we managed to get back to those topics, but yeah, developing that friendship, we got off script quite a bit and talked about, really just everything under the sun.
Yeah, this mentoring relationship is meant to be a piece of the supportive relationships and supportive structures that our students have as they move through college. We understand at College Now, we're not by any means the only thing going on in students' lives. We have very supportive families and friends and college communities, campus communities. But specifically, a question for Brian and Shekinah. How did the support you received from your mentor, let's say, complement other supports in your life? Why did you go to Sue or to Scott with specific questions, and how did that pan out for you? Brian, can we start with you?
So yeah, I would say like in my life, I mostly got advice from like my parents, and they offered like great like life advice, which Scott was also able to advise well too with like life advice. But where he really helped was like providing like advice with like college and like career wise, because like my parents didn't really go to college, so they couldn't like offer like firsthand experience advice relating to that. And then also like they didn't really know too much about like accounting wise, so uh that advice that he was able to provide like helped me out a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I would just add, it was really kind of eye-opening talking to Brian through all this, because I'll give you an example. We were talking to one of our sessions about a new degree or a program at Miami for ESG accounting, where you kind of look at the carbon footprint of a company's product and their suppliers and all these other things. And it really kind of put me back and made me realize how challenging it is for students to try to figure out what they want to do, because you think about accounting and you think it's this static career and it doesn't change that much, and the generation before me was pretty much did the same job, and here you've got a degree in accounting that literally a handful of years ago didn't exist and that I know nothing about. So it was really kind of eye-opening of like, wow, just to that there's so much out there, that how does a student kind of figure out where they fit in? So
Yeah, and Scott, you're kind of anticipating some future conversation here too. I was going to ask as well what you all have learned from each other, so that's a great kind of segue into that. But before we do that, Shekinah, I wanted you to have a chance to answer. How did Sue's support kind of complement or enhance what you were already receiving from other quarters?
So I would just say that like I just love how Sue would make sure that I stayed on track with things. Like despite what I'm going through in my life or despite how I'm feeling, she would make sure she either stayed on the phone with me or just made sure I completed certain tasks. So I really do appreciate her for that, and I'm so thankful that she was able to keep me on track despite what I've been going through these past few semesters. So thank you for that, Sue.
And Sue, actually, to go to you, if you could comment on maybe the most lasting impression you'll have from this relationship with Shekinah. Hopefully, we'll continue, but what you've learned so far, what's really going to stick with you?
So in general, I would say that Shekinah had she came into this with ideas of what she wanted in life, and they were great ideas, and I think they're still her dreams. But sometimes things get in the way of staying on that path, and so that's all I did. I didn't really brainstorm with her what she should do in her life, because she really had an idea, and her major was clear to her, what she wanted to, who she wanted to work with, and she's accomplished all of that. But I think along the way, there were things that there were struggles. And so making clear that the goals were still the same and that she was taking the steps to attain her own goals. And she's just a rock star. She did it all. Despite some serious challenges, she did it.
Absolutely. And we're so grateful to you and Shekinah to you also for being so open and seeking that support and going to Sue with questions. It's really a testament to you as well. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Shekinah? And we'll go to Scott and Brian.
No, but thank you.
Sure. All right, Scott, Brian, what have you both learned from each other or in the course of this relationship, let's say?
like I started to say, really learned, some of the challenges, because I have a son that graduated college at Ohio State last month, and I have a daughter that's a year younger than Brian. And so it was really eye-opening just to kind of see from a different perspective, kind of what my kids are going through, and some of the challenges of just kind of figuring life out and what's out there, and how that fits with your personality. And so it's to be able to help with that has been great.
Excellent.
I would say I learned like a lot of like professional advice from Scott, like the importance of like networking, or with accounting specifically. There's like a thing you get called like the CPA license, and I had a lot of questions that I asked Scott about. He was able to provide like great insight about that. So I'd say I learned a lot about that from him.
It's
Can I
wonderful
add
to hear.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Shekinah.
To add to that, something that I really learned from this program is how caring people can be, and that there are people that like will help you. Because I feel like Sue has really showed me how caring a person can be, and like there are people to help you. Like the times that she did sit on the phone with me and help me get through different things, or just talk to me, or send me gifts, it's just all appreciated. So there are people that want to help and that want to talk to you. So something that I learned from Sue is that people can be caring, and there are good people in the world.
Oh, Shekinah, that's so sweet. This is a great commercial. Now we can say, if any of you watching in the audience would like to become a mentor, my colleague will put some information in the chat. But yes, if you are that kind of caring person and want to connect, we would love to work with you. But commercial over. Going back to Sue and Scott, it sounds like you all have had great conversations with your students, sometimes very challenging conversations with your students. What's one way you really hope you have challenged your student? And this is not something we discussed in the previous session. I know I'm kind of throwing this at you, but off the cuff, what's one way you hope you really challenged Shekinah or Brian? Whoever's ready can jump in.
I'll go. So I think that it's very easy to look at somebody else and tell them what the right thing to do is. But I have my own kids and they don't listen to me. So I have a lot of experience with not thinking that that's the way the relationship should go. And yet when you lay out what you want to do with your life, it's not always easy to get there. And also to have the flexibility to say what I thought I wanted is no longer what I want. So I think, in this relationship, give me the question again, because I could ramble on about nothing. So
I ramble as well, but the gist of it was, what's one way you hope you've challenged Shekinah?
Okay, so I think that Shekinah gave me the challenge, which I loved. And she said, I'm really stubborn and I never listen to what other people ask me. So when I tell you I want to do something, I want you to make me stick to it. Which like was a dream. I mean, someone says, we agree to these 3 things, and then she tells me I can get back to her and say, did you do them? It was a dream for me as a mom who doesn't have that same opportunity with my kids. So thank you, Shekinah. I really appreciated that. And I would say that it really, for both of us, it was something really interesting to see. Like not everything gets done when you say, remind me. And not everything was in her best interest to continue doing, but it formed a relationship. And we even agreed that the accountability would be for both of us. So there were things that I put out there and we tried to make it a little more mutual. And I think it benefited both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shekinah, I hope you consider becoming a mentor when you graduate. It sounds like you'd be excellent with that accountability piece and really seeking that out. Again, that's a major testament to you as a person. So thank you for doing that. Scott, what about you? What's a way you hope you've challenged Brian? And then we can ask Brian if he thinks that's accurate.
Yeah, I think my challenge, would be to just explore relationships, whether it's like formal mentoring or just other people in your life. Because the people in your life, your family, your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, whoever, they know you as a person and they know, kind of what makes you tick. And they also know their field. So I know accounting, for example. I know accounting and I know Brian. So I can kind of, provide some feedback on where I think there might be some overlap. And I would challenge him to just, I'm a big believer, if you want to, get advice on something, you ask, 5 or 10 people and you take little bits and pieces of all 5, because no one's advice is going to be just dead on point of what you need or what you're looking for. And I think, people are an incredible resource, and particularly, in the mentoring realm, when you go to talk to most professionals, I've found and you ask for, hey, I see you accomplished this, I see you did this, and you ask for advice, people like to share their stories when you ask them, and you just have to ask. So I think there's just a lot of resources out there, and it's just you don't have to do it by yourself. I think you just ask for help from a lot of different people, and you take bits and pieces from everyone, and it's really helpful.
What do you think, Brian? Was that an accurate assessment? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would agree. And I'd also add like just talking to like Scott over time like helped me like ask like other people like questions for advice, and that mentorship relationship opened up and made it easier to just seek out advice from other people.
Excellent. Well, I think at this point, I am going to go ahead and get out of the way a little bit and let our pairs have a couple minutes to chat with each other. So I'm going to invite Scott and Brian first to have a brief conversation. And Scott, I know you have a question for Brian and vice versa. So we will go ahead and give you the floor.
Thanks. Thank you, Madeline. Yeah, Brian, so my question for you is there something that I've done or said that has really stuck with you? And if so, what is that?
I would say when I was like looking for internships and going through like the interview process, I was like pretty nervous and kind of worried that I'd be able to like find something. And then I remember I was talking to you about it, and you said like you're pretty confident that I wouldn't really have that big of a problem, and you thought like I had like great abilities and stuff. So that boosted my confidence, and I felt like it helped me throughout that process. So that like really stuck with me, that it helped me out a lot. And then my question for you is what are you hoping for my future?
Yeah, so this I hope it doesn't sound too cliche, but really, my hope for your future is that you just be happy. I've gone through a couple different jobs in my career, and when I kind of look back at where I've been the happiest, I without going into a lot of detail, I had a job in high school that I loved, and I was really happy doing it. And when I look at my professional career and jobs that I liked, and kind of where I'm at now, the job I'm in now is in a lot of ways it's really similar to where I was in high school, and it's it took a while to kind of figure out where I would be happy, but I had mentors that I reached out to, and when I was if I was considering a switch in a job, I talked to a lot of different people and got a lot of different input, and everybody's life is their own, and like I said, you can't take somebody's advice and just it's not going to be a follow these 10 steps and then you're happy, but you got to talk to a lot of people and glean a little bit of knowledge from everybody and figure out what's going to work for you, and just keep an open mind. So, but
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to invite our other pair to come to the floor. So Sue and Shekinah, please join us. And I know you also have some conversation questions. Scott and Brian, thank you so much for that reflection, and we will see you again in a moment.
Okay, Shekinah, my question for you is, I'm sure there's many memorable moments in our relationship. I know I have many, but what's like the one that bubbles to the top for you?
I would say something that I still think about to this day would be the time when you just sat on the phone with me and you helped me find a counselor when I was really going through a hard time. So I just appreciate you taking the time out the day to just make sure I got that done, because, I didn't really feel like doing it at the time. I didn't really feel like talking to anybody, and I needed to in that moment. So now I have a counselor that I love, and she's helped me through so much, but without Sue, I feel like I would have never had her. So I just want to say, just the moment where you just sat on the phone with me, I feel like it kind of changed my life. So thank you, because I love the counselor that I have now. So that's the moment that really sticks out to me and something I still think about to this day. So just thank you. It shows how much of a caring person you are.
I'm touched, beyond touched.
And my question for you is, what are you hoping for my future?
So I guess what I would say is that there's so many aspects to you. I just learned, Shekinah and I had lunch with her mom one day, and I just learned you had this whole musical passion that I didn't know anything about. And I hope that you figure out in your life how to keep the things that elevate you and make you happy, because I know there's so many things you want to do in your life. So I hope you can weave in the social life and the music and the job and all of these other things that you have on your wish list to build a robust life that you're looking for.
Thank you.
And I know you will, because you have it in you.
Doesn't this make you wish we were all in the same room and could hug or bump elbows or something? um, thank you so much, both of you. And Shekinah, thank you for sharing. Sue, thank you for sharing. Brian and Scott, thank you for your perspectives too. We have a few extra minutes and no audience questions yet, although if you slip them into the chat very quickly, we might be able to get one or two in. I did want to end by asking you each to speak to others in your role. So if you're a mentor, speak to other mentors. If you're a student, other students. What's something that you would recommend another mentor or another student do as they are going through this program or going through college, if you want to make it about college, Shekinah and Brian? What are your recommendations?
I would say that if you can, make the relationship a personal one that isn't like a texting. I can't remember what the criteria are from College Now, but I do know if they required what we ended up doing, I would have said no, because I would have felt like that was too big a time commitment. But I'm not sure that we would have been in the same relationship if we hadn't decided together to see each other on Zoom and really make it a friendship between the two of us. So I would say, like, go for it, do it, and then find the way that the two of you and your mentee connect best so that you can build a relationship. Because at the end of the day, the two of us have had, I mean, Scott and I have had such extremely different experiences in this program, but it's what we saw in the relationship that the other person needed. So to kind of lay out what it's going to look like is entirely impossible. But when you meet your student and you decide the best way for you to build this relationship, go that way. And the prompts are great from College Now. They really help in the beginning when you kind of are like, I don't know what to talk about. And then you'll figure out where you go from there.
Yeah, much of the same. I think just kind of figuring out what's going to work best for you. Brian and I, most of our conversation is by phone when he's home on breaks. We'll go out to dinner, and we kind of landed on, we generally talk on Sundays at noon, and it's nice because there's not really a time limit, and we'll set aside a little bit of time. And a lot of times just blow past that time because we're just talking about whatever. So we just kind of had to figure out what worked best for us. And then something else I like, just as you have a mentoring mentee relationship, and College Now does this great, is, I've had experiences in the past where a mentor is maybe somebody in your company, it's in your department, and you're somewhat limited because maybe the mentor has a vested interest in where you go or don't go. And I think by having, I can give Brian my honest advice or honest opinions on things, and what he does or where he goes, it's not going to directly impact me. Like, it's not like he's somebody in my department that's going to leave or go do another job. Like, I can really give him some honest, and I don't feel like I have to edit anything, because it's just, we're two totally different people and we have some common interests, and it's pretty liberating that way.
Excellent. So I'm hearing from our mentors, accountability, flexibility, but empathy is really important there, and just that developing that personal connection. So thank you for that, for those comments. Brian, Shekinah, would you want to go first this time? And what would you want other mentees to know from your experience?
Something that I feel like would help would just be to just have a list of tasks that you feel like you struggle with getting done, and just be able to receive the help from them to just to get it done. Because I feel like as a student, we can balance so many things at once, and just being able to have help to get, certain tasks done would help. So just planning out the tasks that you need help with, I feel like would help future mentees.
Okay, excellent. You definitely do seem like a planner. I'm definitely picking that up. What about you, Brian? What would you want other students to know?
So I'd say my advice for like other mentees would be just be very open with your mentor. Like, if you have any questions or any concerns, just just be open and ask like whatever you want. I think like a mentor's there to like help you out and stuff. So I just feel like being very open would help out the relationship.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you both kind of focused on that ask for help and kind of different, you approach it differently, but being willing to ask for help is huge, and drawing them into that conversation. So thank you. Well, I am going to go ahead and close us out. Thank you again, audience, for joining us. January is National Mentoring Month, so it's a time that's near and dear to our heart at College Now. We challenge all of you to reflect back on mentors who made a difference in your life, whether it was a formal mentor through College Now, through another mentoring organization, whether it was someone in your workplace, a professor, a teacher, someone else in your life. Reflect on that, and then please reach out and thank them if you can. Take that time to send them a message, send them a text, give them a call, write them a card, be old school, but take that moment to really honor them today, this weekend. Tomorrow, I believe, is Thank Your Mentor Day. And on behalf of all College Now, we would like to thank all of our mentors in the program. You truly make a difference, and we couldn't do this work without you. So thank you. And then lastly, again, if you are watching this and you are not currently a mentor and you're inspired to become one, there's information in the live stream chat as to how to do so. You can also nominate someone else to mentor. So if you're a current mentor and you have someone in mind that you think would be great, please go ahead and use that nominate a mentor link, or just reach out to them personally and encourage them. That little word of encouragement can really make a huge difference. So again, check the links in the chat to do those things. Again, congratulations, Sue and Scott. Very well-deserved honor, and we will get you your medals, your trophies at a later date. Shekinah and Brian, thank you so much for being excellent, being awesome, for being here, for nominating your mentor, but also for engaging in this program the way you have and making the most out of it. We so appreciate you, and your success is so important to us too. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day and have a good weekend.
Thank you.